Community Development, Local Government Assistance. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to working with you throughout this application process, and we want you to be able to reach out to us if you have any questions as you work through everything. Throughout the webinar today, if you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A and someone will answer for you. We're going to get started. This is an agenda of what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about the dates that the portal will be open, the requirements of the Local Government Assistance Program, as well as the Community Water Enrichment Fund, any grant ceilings and the per parish allocations for each of the programs, items that we think are important for you to remember as you go through your process, just the application process in general, since we're starting a new process for everyone to be using, required information or documentation that is needed for the application submittals, how to get access to the online portal, our contact information if you have any questions or issues, and then we're going to demonstrate the online portal for you after we go through the presentation. The portal will be open for submissions from March 3rd to June 3rd. The portal or 12 a.m. on June 4th. No applications will be accepted after the portal is closed, so it's extremely important that you do not wait until June 3rd at 6 p.m. or 11 p.m. to begin creating your applications. We encourage you to do them early in case you have issues. Obviously, we wouldn't be available at 6 or 8 or 10 p.m. on the June 3rd to assist you, so we encourage you again to start early. The Local Government Assistance Program is to provide financial assistance to local units of government in rural areas. There are various eligible activities that we're going to discuss in a moment, and the per parish allocation for 21-22 year is $150,000. So that would be a total amount that is available per parish. For eligible activities, here's a listing of eligible and ineligible activities. These haven't changed since last year. We just want to be clear about engineering costs, that you can get 10% of the grant award for basic engineering costs if it's associated with construction, and 3% for inspection services if needed. For ineligible activities, again, it hasn't changed since last year. Previously incurred debt, improvements to private property, those types of things are ineligible. I would also point out that projects that are intended for recreational use, such as playground equipment, park benches, trash receptacles, or walking trails, are ineligible. If you're doing infrastructure for something that is related to recreation, then there is the possibility that it could be eligible. I would encourage you to reach out and talk to us about it. For the Community Water Enrichment Fund, those funds are used to provide financial assistance to local governments for the purpose of rehabilitation, improvement, and construction projects for community water systems. The per parish allocation for 21-22 CWEF is also $150,000. Under eligible activities, the engineering allowances are the same as for LGAP, and then it's for rehabilitation, improvements, and construction of community water systems. The CWEF program has very limited eligible activities, whereas the LGAP gives you many open opportunities. They are very close in ineligible activities, however. Previously incurred debt, improvements to private property, salaries, fire hydrant only projects are not eligible. However, if you're doing a water line extension project and you're going to be putting in fire hydrants as part of that, that would be something that would be eligible. Generators are not eligible. Chemicals are not eligible. Those are things that we see often that we would want to highlight to you that are not eligible in the program. Any local government that is designated as an entitlement jurisdiction or has chosen to participate in an entitlement jurisdiction is not eligible for LGAP or CWEF. Here's a listing of all of the current jurisdictions for entitlements, including municipalities that participate in some of the parish jurisdictions. So if your city, town, village, parish government is located here, then you would not be eligible. Here are the grant ceilings for the programs. You can see the population categories that apply to the grant ceilings. There is a place in the online application where you will choose your appropriate category. So make sure that you know your current population count for your municipality. Some items that we feel like are important that we wanted to point out to you to keep in mind as you develop your application. LGAP and CWEF monies cannot be spent on improvements to private property. There is a question in the online application that specifically addresses this. A local government can only have 2 grants open at the same time in each program. You may submit an application to our office for review if you have 2 open grants. However, we will not be able to make an award to you. If we determine when it's time to make awards that you do have 2 open grants, we will send you a letter giving you 6 months to close out one of those grants before we deobligate any potential awards for your community. All required documentation must be included in the portal before the application can be submitted for review. This is very important. In the past, we've had many local governments send in an application that did not include all of the required components. This will not be allowed in the online portal. The portal will not allow you to submit the application for review if you don't have all of the information attached. So please be careful and make sure that you do that and make sure that you start early enough. As the application is being completed, we suggest that you click Save regularly so that your work is being saved in the online portal. Just like most websites that you use, it can time out if you have been sitting still on a screen for a length of time. And so as long as you click Save, once you complete an activity or an action, it'll save what you do. A recording of today's presentation will be linked to our website, so you can go back and watch it at a later time. Or if you had someone else in your local government that you wanted to watch it, they can feel free to go back and do that at another time. And I would add that even though you may not be able to access the portal right now, you should start gathering your documentation that you will need to submit in the portal. You don't need to wait to begin developing your proposed project. Once you have decided what you are going to apply for, or if you already know what you're going to apply for, then you can start getting your support letters and making sure that your local governing body has passed the support resolution that you're going to need to submit in the application. Don't wait until the last minute. For the application process, eligible local governments will request user access to the online application portal by emailing a completed user access request form to me at my email address listed there, tracy.watts@la.gov. We will process the user access form, and we will then email the user ID back to the user at the email address identified on the user access form. The user will access the online portal to create and submit the application at that point. This is a listing of the required documentation that you need to complete the application online. Remember that you must have all of the required information or documentation in order to submit the application in the portal. The system will not allow you to submit if you do not have all of these items in the portal. So you need to have your population of your jurisdiction, which I mentioned you will have to choose a drop-down box in your application for that. You'll need your House and Senate district number to enter, the estimated number of citizens that will benefit from the proposed project, and a budget of your proposed project, including the funding sources that will be used to cover the cost. A project description, which will be a narrative describing your project, resolution of support from your local governing body, assigned local government assurances, which you'll download from the online portal, and the support letter from your House and your Senate member. All these items are ones that were collected previously. None of these are new requirements for the application. Now we're going to go over the user access form. Many of you have submitted forms to me for processing. We've been reviewing the forms, and at this time, we have not issued any user IDs to anyone. That process will be starting, I would say, tomorrow through next week. I'm going to go over the form now and discuss how you should complete each field. I'm going to ask that everyone that has already submitted a form to please go back and look at the form that you submitted based on our discussion today. If you find something that needs to be corrected, please send a revised form. For local government, you would enter the name of your local government, such as Port Vincent or Port Barry. For parish, you're going to enter the parish in which the local government is located. For mailing address, you need to enter the entire mailing address. So this means your PO box or your street number and your street name, as well as the city and zip code. The LGAP vendor number is associated with a profile that you have set up, you as the local government has set up with the state. It identifies how payments are to be received, and it is tied to a bank account if the vendor number is set up for electronic funds transfer. The number usually begins with a 310. You would have had one set up previously because most of you receive these funds on an annual basis. For username, you enter the first and last name of the user. For user last four social SSN, that is for social security number, you would enter the last four numbers of the social security number of the user. This is used for security and it is attached to the user ID. It is required for us to issue the ID. User title should be the job title or position that is held by the user that is requesting access. User phone number is the phone number of the user. User email address is the email address of the user. Only one user per email address can be assigned. So you can't have two different users using the same email address. Over the last couple of years, we have used various online portals for application submittal. Many people were assigned MID numbers to access these portals. You may have also been issued an MID to access the eCourt system for capital outlay. If you were previously issued an MID number, then you would enter it on the form here in this space. Remember that a user ID is issued to a person, not a local government. Two people cannot be assigned to one user ID. Remember that the user ID is attached to the user's last four of their social security number. Also, only the users should be logging into the system with their user IDs. You should not share your user ID or password with anyone else. A local government can have up to 3 active user IDs. If someone leaves and should no longer have access, you can email me and request that their user ID be deactivated in the system. The user must sign and date the form. The name of the chief elected official must be entered, followed by the title of the chief elected official and the date that the chief elected official is signing the form. Finally, please note that the statement on this form that the user requesting access is being approved to create, edit, and submit the application by the chief elected official that's signing the form.